Hey guys,
We're back.
we're back. So as we're building an audience here, I've gone off of Wi-Fi and I'm just going to try and use my data and see if that helps. So as you come in, can you please comment where you're from? And we apologize, we just went down. Stephanie, who's sat just the other side of camera right now, has perfect Wi-Fi on her phone right now, and I'm using exactly the same Wi-Fi. And my phone just went back as though there'd never been a live feed. But on my laptop right next to me, we can see the live feed we were doing. So someone doesn't want us to get this information out to you guys tonight. So please keep sharing this, please keep joining and make sure this message gets out there, because it's obviously so important that someone is trying to stop this getting out. So those that didn't join to start with, just a very brief introduction of what we're doing. I'm here tonight with Mekasi, and you are from?
Ponca Nation, Oklahoma, and I'm also the state director for Bold, Oklahoma.
And then Bold, Oklahoma is the movement that is working to prevent the fracking here.
Yeah, we're working on several environmental issues here in the state, part of the Bold Alliance with Bold, Nebraska, Louisiana, Iowa, and Oklahoma.
Okay, perfect. And I know you wanted to talk tonight specifically about the environmental racism and the genocide that's happening right here.
Yeah, we just kind of gave a brief background about the tribe that originally we were from Nebraska on the Missouri River, and in 1876 forcefully removed here to what was then Indian Territory and is now the state of Oklahoma. 1/3 of the Ponca Nation perished on that walk, and within the first year. Bringing us up to present day, we're about 3,600 enrolled tribal members here in the state of Oklahoma, and we live on the White Eagle Reservation, which is 5 miles south of Ponca City, Oklahoma. Ponca City is or was the world headquarters of ConocoPhillips, and there's still the ConocoPhillips refinery still resides here. And we have been and still are suffering from environmental racism and environmental genocide. Our people are dying at a rate of 1 per week, 56 deaths a year. It's a devastating number to think about. We have the highest rate of cancer in the state of Oklahoma, and there's a lot of different factors that add into that, but definitely the refinery has a lot to do with it. That would be the environmental genocide. The environmental racism that I speak about is from actually the city of Ponca City itself and the zoning laws that they use to put everything that is contaminable and hazardous, and they zone it to the south side of town near the reservation. So we're dealing with a lot of environmental stressors that are affecting life on the reservation.
Now, before we came on here, you spoke about you have quite a large family yourself. So the reason that you're so passionate about this in this area, is that just for yourself, or what's the main motivator?
Well, I have 9 children myself, and actually have 13 grandchildren and 2 on the way.
Wow.
And so for me, every day, knowing that we have the highest cancer rate in the state of Oklahoma, I have to wonder how many of my children or grandchildren or myself are going to develop cancer. My dad's a cancer survivor. We just lost my uncle, Carter Camp, one of the co-founders of the American Indian Movement, to cancer just a few years ago. And there's not one family in the Ponca tribe that hasn't been affected by cancer, that hasn't lost a family member or more to cancer. So it's not about just me or about my children, it's about the Ponca people, and not only the Ponca people, but the 40,000 people that live in Ponca City that aren't even indigenous people, but they're still people, they're still human beings, and they're still being affected and killed by the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, and the land that we try to grow our food in is not clean enough. For instance, I was working for the Ponca Tribe Agriculture Department a few years ago, and we started a community garden, and we wanted the produce from the community garden to go to the Head Start, to the elderly, and to the diabetic program. Right. And so we handed these vegetables out. Well, we still had a lot of vegetables left over that went to the community, and we wanted to market our vegetables as organic to the supermarkets here in town. And when we tried to do that, we found out that nothing that we can grow on our reservation can be organic because of the vicinity that we live in to the refinery. All of our vegetables, all of our food is contaminated. And so we had to stop that program because we didn't want to feed our people contaminated produce.
So let me get this right. You grow organically, you do everything to the T to hit every letter to be organic. And because of what's happening outside of your reservation that's so close to your nation there, that prevents you being organic even though you followed every single thing.
Exactly.
How can that be? Because surely if they know it's so destructive, they know it's so dangerous, they know it's poisoning the food, then how can it happen? How can they sit and let it happen?
I think that big oil has a lot of lawmakers and politicians in their pocket, and they can do just about anything they want. Tomorrow we're going to go on a toxic tour, and I'm going to take Kevin around and show him the environmental stressors on our reservation. One of the things that we're going to see on the reservation when we get up behind the refinery is that they actually grow wheat inside the fence on the refinery, and the wheat that they grow inside the refinery gets taken to the same grain elevators as everybody else's wheat around here and mixed in, and it's got to be, contaminated all to hell. But I'm going to show you that tomorrow. I'm going to show you a wheat field that's inside the refinery, and that somebody's eating that bread or somebody's eating that grain.
I mean, just coming into this town blew my mind. The smell of it. It was terrible. Yeah, I apologize if you're having issues with the connection here. We're having some real strange troubles tonight. I'm not in the middle of nowhere. There's a good service here, and the Wi-Fi is good, but we're going in and out. So I apologize with the picture. But again, when you're talking about the very things that the people who are a small number of people who are controlling this don't want people to know about, because I guarantee that most people don't realize that, if you grow food the correct way in this area here, it can't be classified organic because of the poisons that are right next door. I'm sure that's not common knowledge.
No, and it's all airborne. There's also not only the refinery there, but there's another facility called the Carbon Black Facility, which is a Taiwanese-owned carbon plant. And there was actually a large class action lawsuit won against this plant, not only by a small Ponca community that was next door to it, but by a lot of the citizens here in the city of Ponca City that joined that class action suit. The carbon particles that are in the air can be airborne for up to 10 days.
Right.
And it has a similar effect as the coal miners that get black lung, from breathing that air. And that's directly across the street to the east, along the Arkansas River banks, is that plant directly across the street from Continental Carbon, from ConocoPhillips. And it's just one thing after another. The city of Ponca City has zoned their dump. The solid waste facility is on the river, so their sewage facility is on the south side of town and on the banks of the Arkansas River that runs through our community. The dump, the Ponca City landfill, is on the exact same hill as our burial grounds. So when you drive up the hill to go to our burial grounds, you either drive straight in and go to the cemetery, or you drive through the same gate and turn right to go into their landfill. And that's one of the the biggest slaps in the face to our people. The Ponca Nation has fought in every war that this country's ever been in. Our men and women have served. We have a huge war memorial up there that has the names of all of our relatives that gave their life for this country. Yet this country continues to ignore us and to kill us with their environmental waste and environmental racism, and now it's causing genocide. My people are dying, and that's why I'm so happy that you're here, and with the people that you can get the word out to and help us to expose, this atrocity.
So for everyone that's watching, and again we apologize about the connection, but for everyone that's watching, what can the people out there right now do to help?
I think in every battle, it education and awareness. So when we educate people as to what's happening and they become aware, then they share that awareness with somebody else, and that awareness becomes a movement in itself. And the thing that I would ask people out there to do for my people is to look at the city of Ponca City, make some calls to the city council or city fathers, whatever you want to call them, and tell them that what's taking place here with their zoning laws and the environmental racism that they oppress our people with is not tolerable, and that they should be held responsible, and that this mess should be cleaned up. I feel that our land is condemnable. I think that the Ponca Nation, that all of the land that we have, that we live on, should be condemned, and that the land that we lived on before in Nebraska should be returned to us. In 1876, when we were forcefully removed down here, if you drive up to Niobrara, Nebraska, there's a sign on the highway that says that the Ponca never made war against the United States government, that they honored every treaty that they ever signed, and through a blunder in the Secretary of Interior Department, or through a blunder in the Interior Department, the Secretary of Interior accidentally signed our land away to the Sioux Nation, the Santees that are there now, which was a larger, more warlike tribe, and we were removed to Oklahoma. And that in itself, needs to be rectified, and we need to be given a new place where our people can live and breathe and drink clean, clear water and clean air.
Absolutely. Why do you think that so many times when they're putting these pipelines in, it seems like they deliberately go under and look to mess around with the very arteries of Mother Earth, the rivers, all the sacred rivers, when they put these in? Why do you think they choose to do it in that manner? Is there an ulterior motive here?
I think if you look at the bigger picture, it's not only just about the rivers. It's about it's an economical issue. So if you look at where they put the refineries, where they put the pipelines, the places that they are going to do hazardous waste dumping, things like that, it's always a lower income community. Whether it be a low-income black community or a low-income Hispanic community or near a reservation of indigenous people, and poor white people, or it doesn't matter. They think that they can walk over the poor and that they can keep us oppressed, and that they can systematically kill us off with the environmental hazards and waste, that they don't want, so they dump it on us because we're unwanted as well.
You bring up a very good point, that this isn't about color. It isn't about the color of your skin. It's not about whether you're indigenous or not indigenous. I mean, just thinking about Flint, Michigan, where they have the water crisis up there. I mean, that's a notoriously low income area there as well. So moving forward, we've got these changes in the politics of this country that's coming. What's everyone out here need to do to give the power back to the individuals, and to make sure that we stop doing this? Because we're repeating past mistakes time and time again. It's like doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of madness. Yet that's what the corporations do, that's what the politicians do, and that's what we as the people sign up and almost let them do. So how can we change this? What can we all do?
I do a lot of speaking around the country, and I always tell people that it's up to us as individuals to make an individual effort to make a collective change. So if each one of us individually makes an effort, collectively we make a difference. And I think that it starts in our homes. I think it starts in our own communities, and then we work outward from there and attack the bigger global issues.
So if there are parents sat there tonight watching, what can they do what kind of conversations can they have with their children to help open their children's eyes? Because this stuff isn't spoken about in the schools, it's not spoken about in the televisions, it's not spoken about in the newspapers. The only time it's spoken about is in the live streams like this, the small talks in the town halls. But if we get everyone at home having these conversations with their kids, they're going to take that in and start talking with their friends at school.
Definitely. I was raised in a family of activists. My mother's Casey Camp Hornick, you know, and she's a world-renowned environmental activist. My uncle was Carter Camp, and one of the co-founders of the American Indian Movement. You know, and I was always raised to stand up for the rights not only of our people and human rights, but also the rights of nature and the rights of the environment. And so when I go places, I take my children with me, and they get to learn not street knowledge but world knowledge from people like you and, you know, other people from different areas of the nation and different parts of the world, bringing their knowledge to the center wherever we're at, which is the center of the universe, wherever you are, and we share that knowledge with each other, and we grow as individuals. And it's definitely important because those are our leaders, those children that are coming up, and that they're sitting in the back and they're listening, they're taking it all in, and they're listening and they're learning. And also around the table when we're eating, you know, they need to know where that food came from and what's good about it and what's bad about it and what we could do to improve it and improve our way of life and our diets.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's phenomenal. I'm really excited to have the chance over these next couple of days to learn more about yourself and spend some time with you, because I don't come from a background of activism at all. I've kind of got thrown into this role, and people throw out these names of these famous people, and I sit there looking kind of blank because I don't have a background in that. I just talk from the heart, and I'm learning as I go. Usually we give people a chance to ask some questions, and Stephanie kind of reads out some of the questions from the background. Are you happy to see if anyone's got a few questions out there?
Definitely, let's go.
So if anyone's got any specific questions, feel free to put some into the comments. And also make sure you come. We're going to be live tomorrow morning around about 9:30 Central Time, and we're going to be going on that tour of the White Eagle Nation right there. And be able to show you some of these things we've spoken about tonight. So if you can join us live, please do. Otherwise, you'll be able to see the replay later as well. Someone says work out how to intercept those that are trying to interfere and ruin the live feeds. If anyone out there has an answer, I'd be happy for it. And tonight, I think that has kind of ruined the live feed a little bit. So maybe some of you guys will catch this on the replay. Yeah, you guys know where to find my CD. Go to my website, letyoursoulplay.com, and it talks about the environment and addiction and my lessons in life. But this isn't what this is about. Yeah, Terry, we will see Erin Brockovich tomorrow in Ponca City, Oklahoma.
She'll be in Pawnee.
Oh, she'll be in Pawnee. See, I'm learning as I go again. She's in Pawnee.
Yeah,
so.
we'll meet with Erin Brockovich around noon tomorrow in Pawnee.
Okay, perfect. How large? They asked how large is your nation?
We have 3,600 members in the Ponca Nation. It's not a very big tribe. I would like to speak out. You know, Erin Brockovich is coming to address the fracking issue here in the state of Oklahoma. Oklahoma is the pipeline crossroads of the world, and we're also the earthquake capital of the world now, due to the injection wells and man-made earthquakes that have been happening. There was a 5.8 earthquake that happened 8 miles north of my mother's house while I was in Standing Rock. When you put pipelines in the earth and they're intersected and spider-webbed to the point that they are here in Oklahoma, and then you throw in earthquakes, we know what that spells. It spells catastrophe. And we know that it's only a matter of time before we experience major breaks in the pipes. That we know that welds are being broken as we speak. Every time that there's an earthquake, we have thousands of earthquakes a year here in Oklahoma, and I'm starting to not just myself, but there's a lot of people that are starting to work on a new pipeline that's coming called the Diamond Pipeline. That's going to run from Cushing, Oklahoma, to Memphis, Tennessee. That's going to bore under the Arkansas River and the Mississippi River, as well as 212 other waterways between here and the Mississippi River. So that pipeline has the potential to affect millions and millions of people and their water sources between here and the Gulf of Mexico. And we're going to be doing everything we can along with the, it's called the Plains All-American Pipeline Company. And they just now finished, or they're working to finish one that went south from here called the Red River Pipeline, Red River 2. I was actually working on that before I went to Standing Rock. But there's starting to be a lot of movement towards this Stop and Diamond Pipeline. And that's one of the things that we're going to be working on here, and we're just starting to organize against.
Awesome, and I'll certainly either be back here or we'll talk about that some more specifically as that develops. Personally, I don't know if you're aware of something we're looking at doing, but have you heard of HR 2029? The clause that it was a document that went through, and within that roughly 900-page document, it went through April 2015 and finished going through in December 2015. In there, it had a little thing that said that it was going to be okay to export crude again from America. So it reversed the 40-year ban on crude oil export. And it's since that point we've seen so much foreign investment coming into the US for these pipelines. So we're working on something called Foil Big Oil, where we want to have a physical petition that's going to have, we're hoping for 500,000 signatures that can then be taken to the Senate to change that, to try and change that decision. So we're not only looking at fighting the Diamond, the Dakota Access, we're looking at fighting all pipelines and stopping that flood of money that's coming in.
Yeah.
So we'll talk some more about that because we're putting together a team for that, and we're definitely looking at having a tour around the country speaking about it to try and actually draw that awareness everywhere to highlight the fights on all the pipelines. We've been called to go up to Flint, Michigan. We've been called to go back up to Enbridge, I think it's Enbridge number 5 up there. Mm-hmm. The Diamond, the Sable. I mean, I can't even remember all the names.
Coast down in Texas, it's going on.
Yeah,
they have a camp down there now. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the pipeline infrastructure in America, the overlay, one on top of each other, you know, and it's just here in Oklahoma. If you look at the map of pipelines, you can't even see the state outline anymore because there's so many pipelines on that map, and we know that there's enough pipelines to carry all the oil that they can produce anywhere they need to take it, and we don't need any new pipelines at all. And the use of eminent domain to take people's private land for the private gain of these pipeline companies is illegal and should be addressed, definitely. Because it's not only our land that's being taken, it's all the farms and ranches and people that have been here for generations tending the land and working the stock, and we need to protect their land for them as well.
Yeah, when I was down at Mississippi Stand, there was a lady who, she was a widow. She'd lost her husband, I believe, about 2 or 3 years previous. And she's about 90 years old. And Dakota Access came and they wanted to put the pipeline through her land. And she told them, "Your money can't buy my love." And they said, okay. And they put eminent domain on her, a 90-year-old widow. One
of the things that I like to, you know, say to the relatives that are here is that we're all in this together, and we've found that common ground, and it's the ground that we walk on. The indigenous people of this continent know that we belong to the land, and we don't own the land. We belong to the land, and it's our duty to protect and take care of our mother that sustains our lives and is going to continue to sustain the life of our children, our grandchildren, and the future generations of our people. And now, since the settlers have been here for generations and they've buried their grandfathers and grandmothers in this soil, they buried their mothers and fathers in this soil, they have that same attachment to that land as we do when where our ancestors are buried and where they walked. And they're starting to feel that sense of duty to protect that land and protect the resources. And that is our common ground, and that, you know, that's the commonality that we need to find and share with each other and stand together to protect, you know, what we love.
Definitely, and I think that's where the role of your role as an indigenous relative whose land this was originally is to lead those actions, is to lead the education, because you truly understand that connection to the land and where we came from, and that's something that we're just beginning to learn. And I think we have to be humble enough as the white settlers understand that and realize that we don't always have to be in the forefront. We need to sit back and learn from the people who truly understand that and come from that.
Yeah, that's one of our duties as the stewards of this land, is to share that knowledge and, you know, openly accept our relatives from other walks of life and faiths.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I appreciate the people that are out there right now, and everyone that's offering to help. If you haven't done, go ahead and go to foilbigoil.com and sign up on the mailing list. That's going to start growing. And were there any questions out there specifically, Stephanie, on this?
There was one I was actually kind of curious about. Girl said, would it be illegal to throw oil on their doorstep? Would that be illegal?
Well, I think that'd be vandalism, but
That's
I'm not going to discourage you from doing that. It's just a misdemeanor.
Mekasi was at Standing Rock from the very first actions up there. For the people that didn't hear that at the start, do you want to just fill them in? Someone asked about how long you were at Standing Rock.
I got to Standing Rock on August the 8th and was there from the first direct action until December, whenever the easement was denied and we got the environmental impact statement, you know, come in to order for the environmental impact statement. At that time, I'd been away from my family for almost 4 months, and I felt it was time to come home and take care of my responsibilities here at home, and just waiting to see what happens next month with the court decision next month. And we'll either be back at Standing Rock, or we'll be to fight, or we'll be back at Standing Rock to have a celebration powwow.
Absolutely. It'll be great to go back up there and go up there as well for March, beginning of March. Red Fawn, Standing Rock's political prisoner. She has a federal trial, and if you guys missed it the other day, they actually just tacked on, I think, another 3 federal charges to her.
Red Fawn was actually there on August the 10th and was one of the first arrestees on August the 10th. There was 4 people that got arrested. The first 4, Red Fawn was one of them, and she's a warrior.
Yeah, she certainly is, and you guys that are out there, I ask you to continue sharing everything and talk about Red Fawn. I'm wearing this pretty much everywhere I go. She needs to be out of there. She's being made an example of, and the charges that they're coming up with are ridiculous. Even though she's got a federal public defender who, by all accounts, isn't necessarily the best legal representation. The way things were done up there the other day when those charges were put, and the charges that were brought, even he was surprised. Which
nothing more than another political prisoner, and she's being held to make an example, to try to tear down our movement and try to kill our morale. But you know, Red Fawn, we love you and we're with you, and you're an inspiration to the movement and to the people, and our prayers are with you every day. So if you get to see this, stay strong, and we're with you. The other thing that I want to tell people out there is there's still a lot of people at Standing Rock at the camp that are enduring the weather and enduring the hardships there at the camp. So continue to support our relatives at the camp, at all the camps in North Dakota. And if you can't be there with them, you know, send what you can to help them. And if you can't send anything to help them, say a prayer. And just be with us there in spirit. And to all the warriors and water protectors and land defenders that are still up there in Standing Rock, I just want to say, you know, I love you guys. Stay strong.
Thanks, guys.
Missouri River, and in 1876 forcefully removed here to what was then Indian Territory and is now the state of Oklahoma. 1/3 of the Ponca Nation perished on that walk, and within the first year. Bringing us up to present day, we're about 3,600 enrolled tribal members here in the state of Oklahoma, and we live on the White Eagle Reservation, which is 5 miles south of Ponca City, Oklahoma. Ponca City is was the world headquarters of ConocoPhillips, and there's still the ConocoPhillips refinery still resides here, and we have been and still are suffering from environmental racism and environmental genocide. Our people are dying at a rate of 1 per week, 56 deaths a year. It's a devastating number to think about. We have the highest rate of cancer in the state of Oklahoma, and there's a lot of different factors that add into that, but definitely the refinery has a lot to do with it. That would be the environmental genocide. The environmental racism that I speak about is from actually the city of Ponca City itself and the zoning laws that they use to put everything that is contaminable and hazardous, and they zone it.
Hey guys,
we're back.
So as we're building an audience here, I've gone off of Wi-Fi and I'm just going to try and use my data and see if that helps. So as you come in, can you please comment where you're from? And we apologize, we just went down. Stephanie, who's sat just the other side of camera right now, has perfect Wi-Fi on her phone right now, and I'm using exactly the same Wi-Fi. And my phone just went back as though there'd never been a live feed. But on my laptop right next to me, we can see the live feed we were doing. So someone doesn't want us to get this information out to you guys tonight. So please keep sharing this, please keep joining and make sure this message gets out there, because it's obviously so important that someone is trying to stop this getting out. So those that didn't join to start with, just a very brief introduction of what we're doing. I'm here tonight with Mekasi, and you are from?
Ponca Nation, Oklahoma, and I'm also the state director for Bold, Oklahoma.
And then Bold, Oklahoma is the movement that is working to prevent the fracking here?
Yeah, we're working on several environmental issues here in the state, part of the Bold Alliance with Bold, Nebraska, Louisiana, Iowa, and Oklahoma.
Okay, perfect. And I know you wanted to talk tonight specifically about the environmental racism and the genocide that's happening right here.
Yeah, we just kind of gave a brief background about the tribe that originally we were from Nebraska, on to the south side of town near the reservation. So we're dealing with a lot of environmental stressors that are affecting life on the reservation.
Now, before we came on here, you spoke about you have quite a large family yourself. So the reason that you're so passionate about this in this area, is that just for yourself, or what's the main motivator?
Well, I have 9 children myself, and actually have 13 grandchildren and 2 on the way.
Wow.
And so for me, every day, knowing that we have the highest cancer rate in the state of Oklahoma, I have to wonder how many of my children or grandchildren or myself are going to develop cancer.